Well, hey, everybody, it's Pastor Martin. Grateful to have you join me on this Friday night. Uh, and I pray and trust that everybody is doing well and you're well tonight. I'm just dropping in for a quick minute. So if you are here and you're a part of this, please do me a favor and share it with somebody. Just a quick minute. I'm dropping in just to talk about this a little bit. You see, what I'm talking about is locked out. And I know right away someone might be thinking, well, did you get locked out? No, I didn't. But I want to talk about locked out. This came to me, so I want to share it with you. This may encourage somebody during this time while we're in this pandemic and while things are going on. I just want to talk to you about locked out. Many years ago in sporting events, they had lockouts where they locked teams out from practicing or playing. They even had one time where they had in football that they did a lockout, and not only were players not, hey, Sister Adams, not only were players not permitted to go in, but they were also they had some other players to come in as substitutes. So in everything, they may have a lockout. The job may have a lockout or whatever may be going on. And when there's a lockout, that means basically what they're really saying is we are not giving you access, or we're not giving you where you can actually get into these particular things or events or buildings or whatever. So it is a lockout. So we say we are locked out. And as I was thinking about that, I just want to share this with someone that maybe you are involved in ministry, or maybe you're involved in work, or whatever it may be doing that you're trying to do. And you felt to yourself that people are not, they'll lock you out. You're not doing things. You're not a part of events and different things like that. And you feel locked out. And as I began to think about that, I wanted to share with you that actually some of us are locked out. And I hate to tell you this, but I got to tell you, sometimes we're locked out and it's not anyone else's fault. We are locked out because we've locked ourselves out. We've locked ourselves out of certain things that we could have accomplished, certain things that we can do right now. We have locked ourselves out, and it's really our fault. And I'm going to give you some reasons tonight that we are locked out and how we need to unlock ourselves. Over 20 some years ago, today everything has a lock on it, whether it's your cell phone, your iPad, you need a code to get in, and then you need to get into your computers and into your files. And what they say to you is put a password in, and sometimes it'll show that that's a weak password, or that's okay. Then they'll show one that says an excellent password. But sometimes you put things in and you don't always remember the passwords. If you don't have a place to keep them or hide them or put them, you'll put all these passwords in and can't even remember how to get back in to your own thing. I remember years ago, over 20 some years ago, before we had all these devices, they had other devices that you could put information in. And I never forget, I put a password in, and it wasn't hard or whatever, but in putting this password in, when I needed to get into this thing, I could not remember the password. And I tried and did. I did every password that I normally think I would put in, and nothing came up. And it took me about 2 hours fumbling with that thing. And then finally, I hit the right password. Well, I'm going to tell you what I did. I went back in after I got in and changed the whole password. Why? I went to a new password simply because I said, I can't remember that. It's too complicated. And today, I'm going to tell you why we locked out. It's not anyone else's fault. The reason we're locked out is because we made our lives too complicated. Again, we made our lives too complicated. We're doing things trying to um, get certain places or please others or whatever it may be. So we made our lives really complicated, like the password. If you put a complicated password in that you may not remember, then you're locked out. And sometimes the only way to get past being locked out of your phone or whatever, the computer, is to literally reset it, or uh, reformat it sometimes, and you delete some things, or you take it back and reset it to factory reset, and then you've lost all the other things unless you've had them backed up in the clouds. And so a lot of times we are locked out simply because we have made our lives too complicated. We put things on ourselves that we shouldn't have put on ourselves. We put pressure on ourselves that we shouldn't put on ourselves. We've done a lot of things that we shouldn't put there. And so life has become complicated, and we've locked our own self out to our potential. Sometimes you have to start, you can't always start here. Sometimes you start here and work your way up. And a lot of times, instead of us doing that, we're trying to match things so people can see what we're doing. And we made our lives complicated. We made what we're trying to do too complicated. And so the reason we're locked out is because we have made life too complicated. You are too hard on yourself about certain things when you should be flowing freely and operating, but we made it too complicated. So a complicated password locks you out. The other thing that has locked us out is procrastination. We are procrastinating when we should be active, when we should be moving, when we should be doing things. We are procrastinating. Why are we procrastinating? This is one reason we're procrastinating, is because we're waiting on someone else to prefer us. We're waiting on someone else to give us an opportunity. We're waiting on someone else to validate us. And so because we're waiting on them, now we've locked ourselves out through procrastination. We are procrastinators. We procrastinate. Someone said, well, I would do that if they would help me. Who said that they've got to help you for you to do it? That's what we say. And we'll say, well, I would do this, but I don't know if they will support me. You've got to stop locking yourself out and being locked out on your own through procrastination. You got to get up and say, I'm not going to procrastinate anymore. This procrastination is really hindering what I really should be doing and what I'm trying to do. You're procrastinating on your vision, locked out. You're procrastinating on your goals, locked out. You're procrastinating because you're waiting on someone to validate you, locked out. So these things keep locking you out. And you have to understand that there's some people that will never validate you. Not until you get to a certain place. It's strange that sometimes people won't accept you until they see others of notoriety accepting you. Then they come on board and they claim you, but that's what they do. But there's some that are never going to validate you. And so you've locked yourself out waiting on them. Do you know how much time we've wasted waiting on someone else to validate us that never has any intentions of validating you at all, never has any intentions of saying anything to push you, to put you on a place, because sometimes they feel if I do that, then you may surpass me. So I'm not going to do that. And they may feel you may get more attention. So they're not going to do that. So they're not going to validate you. They're not going to push you. They're not going to say anything about you to get you going. So what you've got to learn to do is you've got to say to yourself, I can no longer lock myself out and procrastinate doing nothing, waiting on someone else. Some people are not going to do it because you're not in their communities. You're not in their circles. I'm not even going to call them cliques. You're not in their communities. You're not in their circles. You're not in their particular thing. So if they don't validate you, don't go through no changes about it. Just understand that I'm going to move on with what I have and what gift and talent and anointing God has given me. And I'm going to do what he's instructed me to do and what I know to do. And there's going to be someone, believe it or not, that's going to accept, someone that's going to receive your anointing, going to receive your ministry, going to receive what you offer. There's going to be someone that's going to receive it. And what we've got to learn to do is understand that where we think they're going to receive it and where we want to be received may not be the place that God has ordained for you to flourish. So you got to stop locking yourself out. Don't be locked out anymore, waiting on people and waiting on things. You can't do that. You've got to understand that God has not invested all that he's invested in us for it to go to waste. And I need you to get that. God has not invested all that he has invested in us for it to go to waste. He has not put the time in to help us, to deal with us, to do through fasting and praying and all the things that he's done. He's not put all that time in us for it to go to waste, for us to sit by the wayside doing absolutely nothing. That God didn't waste all the stuff that God has invested in us, all the time, all the stuff that He's allowed us to go through to mature us and bring us to a place that we can be fit and ready for His service. He didn't do that for us to sit around and be locked out waiting on others. You've got to understand and talk to yourself, and this is not being arrogant or whatever, but you got to tell yourself, I've got too much to offer to sit around and be locked out waiting on others and then procrastinating and then making this too complicated. Some of you people have made you to feel you too plain. You plain and you don't have this. But did you not know there's some people that like it simple? They like simple things. They don't like a whole lot of stuff. I've got a couple friends that do graphic designs and stuff. I put things together. I don't claim to be a graphic designer, but I was talking with them one day, and we made an observation, and the observation was that there are a lot of things that when you look at it, it's confusing to the eye. It's too much. It's like Tyler Perry, Mr. Brown, wearing all them different colors. Your eyes be like, okay, what am I focusing on? And sometimes I see people's flyers, and it's too much to bear. It's got too much going on. Sometimes it's just too much going on. But then you'll get something in the mail that I got, something like this. Look how plain that is. It's not complicated. Don't have a lot of flair to it. The only thing they want to do is get the message out that this person is running for probate court as a judge, and that's simply what they're trying to do. Notice the back of it, same way. They just simply trying to make it just get the message out. It's not a whole lot going on. And so when I got this today, I looked at it. My eyes were my eyes were okay looking at this because it's not a complicated thing. Sometimes we make things too complicated and we lock ourselves out. Stop doing that. Just do what you do. Be you. Don't try to be anyone else. Be you. And somebody, God has an audience, church, business, or whatever. God has somebody that's going to respond to you. Just be you. Then don't procrastinate. Don't wait on anyone else to push it. You'll be surprised. The God will use sometimes people that you want him to use. He won't use them. And the simple reason he won't use them because he don't want them to hold you hostage to them helping you. He's got somebody that's willing to help you to do what you need to do. That's not going to hold you hostage. They're not going to hold you like, well, I did this for you. They're not going to hold you hostage. They're going to say, look, go ahead and do it. And if you go up higher than them, they won't be tripping. They won't be going through no changes. Why? Because they understand that, it is a possibility that you will go. Some of you, when you go live and stuff, and you go online and you're ministering or having conversations or whatever, don't go through no changes if you don't have 500 people watching you or 1,000 people. It may say you got 10, may say you got 20 people, and you be like, I don't know what I can do to get my numbers up. Well, the way they've got things set up on some of these things, you really don't know what your numbers are until after you get off of the thing. And then sometimes you don't know because they've got it set where people can be watching you that are really never numbered. And then they've got it also where you can, you'll see more numbers after you get off. And then there are other people that will watch it at another time. There's some people will watch and they don't want you to know they're watching. So you just got to know that. So we're locked out because we made it too complicated. We're locked out because we're procrastinating. We're locked out because we're waiting on somebody else to push us and to push us into destiny when sometimes we're right there and the people that we're waiting on, they're just not going to do that. They're not going to do it. They may not help you, may not get it done. I'll say this in my conclusion. My son has been doing music for a long time. He started playing for our church a little bit after he was a teenager. and he's been playing. He's done music. There are people in the world. When I say the world, I'm talking about actually folk that's in the world that loves his music, not church people that loves his music. And he was able to do a score on a show that comes on BET. So they pulled him in to do a score on that. And so he's always doing music, and he's done some jingles and some other things. And he was always, people not give me an opportunity, a chance. And so one day he just sit down and start doing his own stuff, just putting his music out there. Some people heard it, and they called him and said, "Hey, we want to do that with you." And then he just sit down. He writes songs. God gave him a song to write. He wrote the song, and somebody heard it, and then they sent it to one of the famous talk show people here in Atlanta. They played it, and then it actually, without anybody's help, without a whatever, it actually hit Billboard. Everyone thought it was the Pace sisters. It was actually the Pace family. And my son wrote the song. And so during the celebration of Dr. King's birthday, his song was sung at Ebenezer on Dr. King's birthday when they celebrated. His song was played and they sung it. It's online, it's on YouTube and different places. And so the way he was thinking that his song was going to get somewhere, and the people that could do it, they never did it. They made promises, but they never did it. But God went all the way around them and got it out there anyway. So that's why you can't be locking yourself out. God has a way of going around people and getting you to where he wants you to get. And that's why we have to just say, I'm not going to allow myself to lock myself out by not doing that. God has a lot of ways. So when you're on here doing videos and stuff, it may be 10 folk watching now, but you never know. It may go viral. And tomorrow you could be the talk of the town in a positive way. So stop locking yourself out. Don't be locked out. Don't allow your lockout to be your own fault. Get yourself up. Don't make it complicated. Just do. Because I'm going to say again in my closing, there's somebody, hey, Sister Irvin, there's somebody that loves what you do. And you're the only one beating yourself up, thinking that I'm not doing, because I'm not doing what other folk are doing. You don't have to do that. It's not necessary. I promise you, it is not necessary. And if you don't lock yourself out, don't allow nobody else to lock you, but don't. And the last thing, I got to say this part. I forgot how he gave this to me. Sometimes, have you ever given people, they make things for you and they set passwords for you. And sometimes when they set passwords for you, either they set them and give you the password, or they set them and then when they get upset, they leave. I had one pastor tell me, he said, I can't get into my account because the person that set the pages up, they got upset and left the church, and they didn't give anybody the passwords. So if you got situations like that where you're giving people the passwords to your life, and you're giving them those passwords, the next thing you know, they done with you, they finished with you. Then you sitting there trying to figure out what's my next move. You can't do that. You got to say, no. I'm not giving no one that kind of password and that kind of access where I don't know where my life is going. I mean, it's like agents and stuff. I understand all that, but if I got money, I love accountants and all that, but I'm gonna stay on my own money, find out how much I got and where my money is, and who got access to my account and stuff. I'm like that today. I can tell you what's in all my accounts. I can tell you how much money I got. I can tell you if a dime is missing. So you don't give anybody access to you that way and do that. So a lot of you are locked out because you've given people that kind of access. They sort of tell you what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and you follow their pattern instead of doing what you need to do. So you're locked out because someone else has the password. You got to get your keys back. You got to get your password to your life back and stop being locked out of where you are. And you create your own narrative, you create your own destiny, and you do the things you need to do. And if you do that, you're going to be blessed. Well, I pray and trust you got some out of this tonight. Hey, Brother Davis, I pray and trust you got some out of this tonight. I pray that God has blessed you. And just think about what I said. We're locked out because we made it complicated. Procrastination, waiting to be validated. Someone else has our passwords. So we locked out. And when you get locked out, I don't want to have to reset stuff that I've worked hard to do, waiting on someone else because I've locked myself out. I remember I've got a thing where I put my passwords, they lock, but I know where they are. And so if I'm going through and I can't remember a password, I go and get it and pull it out and get right into what I need to get into, whether it's a year, whether it's been 2 years, because you don't always remember all the passwords. And I know they've got tools where they can help you to remember them. But you need to make sure that you don't make it complicated and make sure where you can get into it. The Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. Thank you. I pray all in trust that all of you are safe. Have a wonderful night, a wonderful evening, and enjoy yourself and enjoy the weekend and enjoy this time that you've got. And for whatever you do, please don't let nobody lock you out. And for whatever you do, don't lock yourself out. All right. Lord bless you and the Lord keep you. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all on Monday. We're going to check in Monday. I look forward to seeing you. May God bless you and may all God's best be yours.